RiverBender.com.
All right now, baby, it's all right now. All right.
Here we go, 9:32 on the 17th day of October. Bart, how are we doing over there, man?
I'm doing fantastic.
Man, North Alton Godfrey Business Council Spotlight. And Bakers and Hale, seriously, is one of my favorite places to go to with the family, especially when Porch Cafe or one of the great bands is out there playing. And really appreciate your time this morning.
Sounds great. Enjoy being here. It's great to be part of the Business Council and be part of the greater Riverbend community.
Yeah, and take me through how Bakers and Hale started, because I was a little bit younger whenever you guys were launching. How did this all come about?
So we've been in business. We're just in our 6th year.
Wow.
Our daughter, or Kelsey Baker Walden, who's our daughter, she's been in the restaurant business for some time, and she'd driven by the empty building there where we're at now for a couple of years, and she was always interested in starting a business there, and it worked out to where my oldest son bought the building. The rest of our family started the business, and so we opened up a little over 5 years from now.
Just incredible. Well, and honestly, because the Rotten Apple was there, I think, in that location, or at one point in time it was. And then when you guys came in, just to see the revitalization of the building and really seeing I loved the patio outside and all the updates. Was that your vision the entire time, was to do something like that?
It was. The restaurant business is just it's a moving animal. It's,
good point.
It's always changing. We had a vision on kind of what we'd hoped we'd end up with. Then COVID hit, and that really accelerated the outdoor dining, and so that turned out to be a good move for us to put more emphasis on the outdoor dining.
Yeah,
our customers really enjoy that. Be a little bit of a challenge here these next few months,
right?
As the weather goes cold on us, but we'll do our best, and we'll more of our focus will be inside during these colder months, but.
Yeah, well, and honestly, because we're still waiting Steve to come on in, and I just figured let's just start talking, because Bakers and Hale really has become, I like to call it staple status at this point, because of how many people go and utilize and then talk about the business, and it's all because I think of your guys' passion for what you do. I think that's a huge part of it.
Well, it all starts at the top, and Kelsey, who's the restaurant manager, the executive chef, she, her tolerance for anything other than very good service, very good food, to be consistent, that's all very important to her. She's, she's always there. She's, she leads her staff well. She leads by example, in the kitchen, the front of the house, the new employees, they pick up regularly, rapidly on the, her way of doing things and doing it right, doing it consistently.
Now, I got a question. Have you ever had to be the taste tester for a new menu item?
I do the taste testing for a lot of the drinks. But on the menu items, not a lot. I mean, she's got a lot of creativity with her staff. She lets her key staff members bring new items on. I think you see the specials every week. It'll be Chef Rob's or Chef Steve's or Chef Church's or one of their entrees, and so Kelsey's good at giving her staff responsibility, but also holding them accountable.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool to see that showcase, because it gets a little bit of the behind the scenes of what the kitchen's looking like and what their palettes are, what their kind of strong suits are, and I think it showcases well. And then before we take a break and we get Mr. Tassinari on the show, I got to ask you about this wine tasting event that's coming up in November. I know that this hasn't been released yet, but this is pretty cool.
Yeah, so we just put it together yesterday. We're going to do a wine dinner. We're going to use Round Pond Winery from Rutherford, California. My wife and I were just out there a couple weeks ago and sampled some of their wines, and we're really looking forward to it. Kelsey will pair, be a 4 or 5 course dinner, and we'll have 4 or 5 of the Round Pond the Round Pond offerings, and it'll be really good. We'll be bringing that out and announcing it soon. We'll be taking reservations, and hopefully that books goes over well and sells out quickly.
Well, we were at a Round Pond tasting too. I think my dad and I were for Father's Day up in Edwardsville, and I mean the information that you get from it too is really cool. I mean the event's a really fun one. I mean I enjoyed it just immensely, and I think it's cool to bring it to Bakers and Hale. That's really cool. Is this the first one you've done like this?
So we've done three other wine dinners. This is the first time we've used Round Pond. So.
Really cool. Well, why don't we do this? 9:37, we'll take a quick pause. We'll see if we can get Mr. Tassinari in the maze that is the Riverbender building, and then we'll continue our spotlight on the North Alton Godfrey Business Council right after this quick one on the 17th day of October.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank. The local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
9:42, officially starting the segment. How we doing, Bart?
Doing great.
I feel like I just talked to you during the last 20 minutes. With this segment on North Alton Godfrey Business Council, it's really cool just to get to know some of the faces that make up the council, and it's actually one of my favorites because I'm sure you've been a part of all those groups too, and this one to me is just a little different. It's more of an interactive where you're able to kind of let the hair down and just talk and enjoy a lot of great people.
Yeah, the members of the business council are great. It's a really good mix of public and private. A lot of independent-owned businesses. And everyone's very willing to share ideas. I've got some really good business acquaintances. On the council. We've been able to host a couple of events. Helped expand our business some. But it's been a really good experience. I feel bad when I can't attend one of the monthly meetings, but I try to, and overall it's been a great experience.
Well, and that's kind of how I feel about it because I've been a part of when I had my business 7 years ago. It's getting that long. It was like you get a part of one of these groups, and then it's like elevator pitch, elevator pitch, elevator pitch, elevator pitch, but there's not really a chance to really mingle like we get at the luncheons, I don't think, because especially at Bakers and Hale, too, when we were just showing the slideshow with Montez Moore being out there and giving a great speech on the Boy Scouts and hearing some of those insights, it's the camaraderie you get to experience with everyone, too.
I think it's very good. The business council meetings, they start on time. They're over in 75 or 90 minutes. They don't run over. Most business lunches, most business people, are probably going to burn an hour for lunch. Well, you can burn an hour and a half and get some great information, some great networking, as part of the business council. It's a reasonable. It's not a reasonable business investment. It's a cheap business.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to what you get, it's a great experience.
Without a doubt, man. And then on top of that too, it's not forced ever. Like the networking doesn't feel forced or any type of the conversation. It's all up to us if we want to go mingle or if we just want to sit and eat. And that's why I like it too. And one thing I was going to ask you is how many of these when did you start first hosting them?
Probably 2019, maybe.
Really?
It's 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and I just think it's cool because we talk about volunteer projects and different events, but what I think is cool is coming up on the 7th, I don't know if you saw it, but the Benjamín Godfrey Entrepreneurial Series, which is designed really for younger high school kids that are getting ready for that next chapter, and I think that's really cool too, is to talk to some of these students and say, hey, what's your path looking like, after high school? Are you going to college? Are you going to go back straight into the workforce? I think that's a really cool thing too.
Oh, I think it's awesome. As business leaders, once in a while we'll complain about the next generation.
Yep.
May not be as prepared as we like, but to help for them to be prepared, we need to make a little bit of a commitment on ourselves and be willing to commit some time, and if it's some money, to help put together programs, like the Benjamín Godfrey series, which I think is great for high school kids, college kids, students. Yeah. I think it's great.
Well, and too, just kind of circling back to Bakers and Hale, you get pretty much the diverse mix of, generations coming in the doors, older, younger, middle age. And I think it's really cool to see that. And have you noticed, because I have a kind of question I've been asking restaurant owners, I think younger people aren't going on as many dinner dates anymore. Have you noticed that, or is that not a thing?
No, I agree with you completely.
Really? Okay, see, I kept saying that. I've mentioned this to 4 or 5 different restaurants now where it seems like my generation isn't into the whole, hey, let's go get a dinner and grab a bite to eat and just see where the night takes us. And I'm glad to hear you say that because I was called crazy the other day. Yeah, it's true.
Our business, and I think many other businesses, that age range is it's gotten higher than it was, 20 years ago. But in doing things to bring in the younger audience, I think that's obviously things we need to do.
Well, and too at Bakers and Hale, I think you do a great job because some of the bands that are coming in and playing are really awesome. I mean, Steve Ewing was there a couple of months ago. He came on the show to talk about it. And then you got, Porch Cafe and some of these really young, talented artists that are gracing the Bakers and Hale stage, which I think makes it really enjoyable for younger people to go out and enjoy too.
Yeah. So, I think we have a good mix of, different genres and, like tonight, Pat Liston's playing for, it's our last bike night. And, where else can you see Pat Liston in such an intimate setting? And, you can talk to him between sets. He's a great guy. And, has great sound. And, so. Another huge incentive. Now, between the bike nights and I know you do a couple of things throughout the week at Bakers and Hale. Can you take me through a couple of them? Yeah, so we've been doing a Wednesday night bike night. We'll start in early, mid-spring, when it warms up, and then we'll run. Tonight is our last, or not tonight. Tomorrow night's our last scheduled bike night. If the weather forecast is good, we'll extend that out. Another week or two, kind of go off that. But, on Wednesday night, we have, a lot of the regulars that, come in, bring their bikes in, and we have live music on Wednesday night, so, during bike night. So it's a fun evening. Wednesday used to be our slowest night of the week, so. Right. So we turned that into a good night for us, and, and it's always a fun evening. Really cool. Well, especially too, I guess you're right. You couldn't really do a bike night in November. Yeah. Depends on the weather a little bit, huh? You could do one. There may not be a lot of guys bring their bikes out. Are you a bike guy yourself? No, I'm not. No. Really? That's cool. I just find it fascinating because sometimes it seems like businesses, really a big night or events, are kind of tailor made for something that maybe the owner or one of the organizers is into, and then they expand the umbrella. So that's kind of fascinating. Yeah. Really cool. And with that being said, do you have any bands playing this weekend? Yeah, we do. I forget who's playing Friday night, but I know we have Rogers and Neenhouse. Oh, they're good. On one of the evenings. Really cool. My son-in-law, Rob, he books all the bands, so I don't. It's really a family thing over at Bakers and Hale. Yeah, so there's Kelsey and her husband and my wife and I, and then three of our other children are owners of the business, and several of us have not day to day, but periodic responsibilities at the restaurant, and others are just investors and silent supporters. Right. Really well. And I got to ask you, because my family owns Rigdon Sewer Service. My uncle runs it now. My grandpa started it. But would you work with your family again? It's pretty challenging. That's what I had to ask, because everyone has a different reaction to it. I think if you ask my uncle and grandpa, they'd say yes and no. I don't know. Kind of a good question. But with that being said, man, I think it's cool that you stopped by and really just to talk about the Business Council. It's a spotlight on the council, but the business owners like yourself that make up the council, I think, are why it's such a successful one, and we keep growing in membership numbers. And, just if I don't mind me asking, what's your kind of, I don't want to say elevator pitch, but for someone that's not a part of it, why should they be? Well, it's the networking opportunities are incredible. They're many business council type meetings, or you get advertising that you may or may not really be interested in, and really don't care. At the business council, it's I don't think I've ever been part of a topic that I didn't find very interesting. They're all they're pertinent. They're sometimes it'll be something that you're not used to, or you're really not aware of, and brings awareness to topics that you normally wouldn't see. Well, it's a great point. The biggest one I have is whenever Mary Lamy came down to the council and was talking about the byway and how important the infrastructure was in that coast. They call it the coast of, or the infrastructural coast of America. And Mary came on my show before, but to hear her in that setting and really talk about something that really is important, like the barges and the traffic flow and making sure we can supply everything, and how important our region is something I think's cool too. So it's a huge point. Yeah, I agree. I thought the last meeting where we talked about healthcare, and all the training and accreditations the local hospitals go through to offer the good healthcare that's really important in our area. Well, and Jerry Rump's speech was really good, and it was really insightful. I'm glad I ate breakfast that morning, by the way.
With that being said, Bart, man, thanks for stopping by. This was fun. I mean, I really am a fan of Bakers and Hale. My parents have been, and I think so many of us are, and it's because of just the great work you guys do. And thanks for being part of the Business Council also.
Thank you.
9:52 is the time on a Tuesday morning. We'll take a quick one, then we'll come back and wrap up the 9 o'clock that was.